African American, U.S. descent.
Right.
So I'm well versed in that. So it's nothing of me being ashamed of.
Right.
My daughters have natural hair.
Right.
I treat them.
And I'm glad you're making that point, Melanie, because that's one of the reasons, one of the mythical influences that you know, and people say those things because they're trying to actually influence somebody,
right,
to make that decision based on that alone, that they are actually not even true to themselves anymore.
That's ridiculous.
You know, and it's
that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And we you know, the natural, like for instance, I told them grass is natural, but if you don't take care of it,
right,
it will dry up and it'll become brittle. So if we can just understand that, if you just take out the concept of the word natural as your way of being persuaded, and do what makes you feel and look good.
Right.
If just like that time when you was talking about the product with the anti-frizz.
Right.
And, you know, and
which one? Because I've tried all of them.
Right. So, but the point of anti-frizz products is, you like the line that we use, you know, the influence hair care products. We're basically taking care of the hair to the point where it wouldn't frizz anyway.
Right.
But when you get into the products that you know that you're doing nothing to stop the frizz, then all you're doing is using a product that's either gonna have so much pomade in it that it meshes them together until it melts. And if the hair is still porous, then you're still gonna have a issue of what happens once that is gone out of your hair.
Right.
The frizz wasn't eliminated; it was just temporarily taken out of the equation for a minute. And where I come in is we can eliminate the frizz, because the majority of the time the frizz is due to a porosity issue.
Right.
It's due to a split end that went too long. And I'm actually going to show something, you know, to the audience, to let them see that when you're making this choice, either way, I'm gonna go into the hair structure and where it gets its nutrients, how it's being fed, and that deal with that myth that you have relaxer and when you dye you have it underneath your scalp. And I don't know who came up with that, but oh my God. So it's like this. Only way that could even possibly happen is that you would have to have left out so many procedures in the relaxer. You would have had to left out basing completely. You would have had to deleted the off the scalp technique of applying a relaxer. You would have had to put it directly to the scalp. You would have had to kept it on way past the processing time every time, and the normal processing time ranges from 13 minutes to 25 minutes depending on what relaxer choice. But that's with the scalp base protected, so that it'll only be on the hair that's needed to be relaxed. And if it's not a virgin relaxer, we only put it on the new growth and rinse it out. Relaxers goes into the hair shaft and changes the properties of the hair shaft. It doesn't go underneath and do anything. It doesn't. It only stays in the area that it's applied. It has not the ability to go down into and underneath the scalp. You know, so the things that need to be, as Melanie word, debunked, you know, or dispelled, is that just use a little logic here with this. I'm trying to give you some education on the whole process so that, you know, you make an educated guess and no longer a mythical an educated decision instead of a mythical decision. So what I'm going to do now is go into the hair structure a little bit, and then I'm going to go into how it's applied, how the relaxer should, what choices that, you know, should be made. And when you see this, when you get into your decision factor, then do it based on that, and not on some crazy movie, you know, some YouTube.
Or what your friends are saying.
Yeah, or what your friends are saying. Because believe it or not, it's if I come on YouTube and I'm trying to sell a product, and my product is geared towards natural hair. That's why I love the company that I'm with. I'm not advertising them. I'm trying to get this to understanding one, this is about relaxers versus natural hair. And there's no marketing gimmick. I'm not trying to sell you anything. But if you're on these YouTube videos and all of a sudden you see a product come up, you know, then you knew, or you should know, that the idea was to get you sold on the product, to try to convince you that this product is specifically designed for natural hair. And I guarantee you that some of the ingredients are in the other products, and the majority of the time they are not natural, because every product has to have some kind of catalyst to enter into the hair, and you would have more chances of having issues with a product like that than a relaxer, because a relaxer only stays on your hair for the maximum processing time. But when you're using natural hair products, depending on what it is, especially with the ones that's allergic to shea butter and don't know it, you end up having it on your scalp longer to cause the different types of irritation. And if it's too oily, then it runs down onto your skin, especially if the hair is porous, because porous hair will not hold or retain any of the moisture that you put on. Right. So the next thing you know, you thought you had oily skin, and the whole time you just had porous hair that would not retain what you was putting on top of it.
And your hair's still dry.
And your hair's still dry. And so, and same with calcium relaxers, the relaxers that have a calcium hydroxide base. Those relaxers actually uses the calcium as the catalyst to do its process. It's normally lower in alkaline, so they call it no lye. And you know, and keep in mind, it's normally for, you know, fine textures or sensitive scalps. That's the reason why they have these. But the idea of you purchasing those and using them at home is the instructions are normally not followed. The myth that the longer you leave it in, the straighter it is followed. And then we have another reason why relaxers are not chosen anymore, because of all the previous damage that has been done by you at home or one of your friends doing your own relaxers, when, you know, it should have never been that way. We're the professionals. We know exactly what process should be used, and then the ones I apologize for that are professionals and still not doing it correctly, I believe that's going to, you know, this quest that we're on is going to change that as well, because you got to keep in mind the calcium is going to dry the hair out, and even when your hair is wet, when you've used that relaxer so long, it still feels dry. So when you have that, what we end up having to do is a corrective relaxer, starting with a Proplex Reconstructor or as our first choice, or go straight to a corrective relaxer. And this is the type of information you need. We have a history of people doing their own relaxers. We have a history of professional and unprofessional people doing them incorrectly. We have a history of people actually doing the relaxers their own way, forgetting about the instructions, forgetting about the processing time. They're doing them their own way.
Well, you know why, Levon? I think many people do their own relaxers because they can't afford to go to a hair salon.
Exactly.
They say, well, I can't afford the $40 every 2 weeks, or, you know, well, now there's salons that charge $25